Hello, everyone. Welcome to this interview from the series of interviews we are doing with the product team of Microsoft Fabric. This time we have Miguel Llopis here. Hey, Miguel, how are you?
Hey, Reza, very good. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us. A pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate that. So we had an interview with you before in the previous FabCon. We had some discussion about the updates that time. But this FabCon, which was like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we had tons of new updates, features in the Data Factory, data integration side of Microsoft Fabric. So very excited to talk about it. But before talking about it, just in case some of our audience may not know you, can you explain what is your role? What do you do in Microsoft Fabric? Which area of the product you are focusing?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm a group product manager working on the Data Factory team, and I primarily drive areas around data transformation, particularly the Power Query and Dataflow experiences.
That sounds good. And I remember from the days that you've been working on the Power Query side since like very early days of Power Query, which is actually close to my heart as well because I'm quite a big Power Query fan, right? So let's jump into the areas of Data Factory and data flow, data pipeline, all of that together. First of all, still I hear many people not quite 100% sure of what this data factory brings into the table with Microsoft Fabric, because some of them come from the business background. They use Power Query inside Power BI Desktop. They always have this thinking that, well, why should I need something else called Data Factory? Some of them comes from enterprise background, such as ADF. They build like ETLs in that area now. They are also thinking that what Data Factory in Fabric brings into the market for these two. Can you share a little bit, shed some light on this Fabric Data Factory, what it is actually in general that makes people's life easier?
Sure, absolutely. So if you think about Fabric as an end-to-end data analytics solution, of course, it all starts with data. So Data Factory is the part of the experience and capabilities within Fabric that allows you to connect the data and to bring the data in for analytics. And of course, along the way, as you know, data is never in the right shape. So we provide the transformation capabilities that allow you to bring the data into the correct shape for analytics. Now, I'm glad you actually said a few things over the last couple of minutes leading to this question. One was for how long I've been working on the Power Query experiences. It's been almost 15 years at this point. For that long period of time, over a decade, until about 3, 4 years ago, we actually had multiple teams at Microsoft dealing with data integration challenges. In one hand, we had my team, the Power Query team, working on experiences, low-code experiences for citizen developers living in Excel, living in Power BI, living in the Power Platform, to connect, transform, and reshape data to get it loaded into the specific context they were using, either in an Excel workbook or a Power BI report or Dataverse if you're trying to do something in the Power Platform. On the other side of the house, we had the Azure Data Factory team working on very similar challenges around data connectivity, data preparation, transformation, integration, right? But aiming at the professional developer or data engineer. And in both cases, we've actually had to deal with very similar problems, but wearing a different hat and perspective on the type of users that we were trying to empower. Now, what we've done over the last 4 or 5 years with Data Factory in Fabric is actually we brought together those two teams and projects and missions so that we actually just work on a single offering, Data Factory in Fabric, that combines the best of the both worlds that we had before. So, in one hand, we want to keep it very easy to use. So we're bringing all the ease of use and simplicity of the Power Query experiences. At the same time, we want to make that highly scalable and flexible. So we're bringing the high scale compute, large scale data ingestion through copy and fast copy into the mix as well. So no matter where you're coming from, if you're actually a low-code developer who's used to Power Query in, say, Excel or Power BI, you can come on board to Fabric Data Factory and find yourself at home using Dataflow Gen 2 because that provides the same Power Query experience to create queries to transform data. But you will find a lot of advantages. So in one hand, you're going to be able to deal with larger amounts of data, and as you know, data keeps growing in size and also in variety of data sources. So we're going to give you a lot of features that help you with that, whether it is fast copy to ingest massive amounts of data, whether it is the high scale transformation compute engine and Fabric. You're going to be able to just deal with larger amounts of data. But you're also going to get a bunch of other new capabilities. So, for example, we've deeply integrated Copilot inside of Dataflow's Gen 2 so that it helps you both creating new queries, creating new steps based on natural language, but also you're going to be able to walk up to Copilot and say, hey, Copilot, tell me what this step is doing, or tell me what this query is doing, because it also knows how to understand your M code and actually describe what it does in user-friendly natural language. But also, if you're coming from the other end of the house, if you're more of a professional ETL and data engineer developer, used to Azure Data Factory in the past, or even things like SSIS and similar pro technologies, you're gonna come in and you're gonna find not only the same powerful capabilities that you had before, but also a much more simplified and user-friendly experience as the front end to it. So again, it doesn't matter which side of a camp you come from
That
over the
sounds
last decade or so, you're just going to be able to come into a data factory and leverage the best of all worlds.
Yeah, that sounds great. And that is also the feedback that I hear from those people who are now these days using Fabric Data Factory, that they have this ability to use um, like simplified tools such as Power Query Editor to do data transformation, as well as if they want to move data at scale, they have the data pipeline, copy activity, things like that, that they can combine together, the script activity, all of those kind of things, which is great. Now, before jumping to the updates, Power Query has came a long way. I mean, the whole Microsoft data transformation technologies has came a long way from the days that we had SSIS, then Power Query in Excel, in Power BI, then even added inside Azure Analysis Services as the way we import data. Now we have data pipeline also combined with it. It looks like that this is going to be like a uh, premier data integration tool or data integration technology, that data factory. It is something that I see it beyond Microsoft Fabric, that would live in any data movement, data integration, uh, and let's say ideas and things like that. What is your vision of this product?
Oh yeah, definitely we want for Data Factory to be our flagship data integration offering across Microsoft. And of course, that living within Fabric, it actually serves two purposes. So first and foremost, it's all about giving you the data integration capabilities you need in order to bring data into Fabric, so that, for example, if you're trying to populate data into a warehouse or a lakehouse, you're going to be able to do that, very easily and in a nicely integrated, unified system, which is Fabric, right? Into a single identity model, single storage with one lake, single security model. So all the nice integration that comes with it. But beyond that, we also aspire to make Data Factory in Fabric the number one data integration offering in the world. Like, even like, we want customers, even if their data is not in Fabric or they don't want to bring it into Fabric, we want them to actually leverage Data Factory in Fabric, because we support hundreds of data sources and we support uh, as of now dozens of data destinations, but we want that to grow into the hundreds as well. And in both ends, make it highly scalable and customizable with extensibility models. So
Awesome.
yeah, really, our aspiration is to make Data Factory the largest and biggest and best data integration offering in the world.
That sounds great, and we are looking forward to that day as well. Even today, a lot of people are using it and quite happy with it. Great. Let's jump into some of the updates, which we had tons of those in FabCon. So, what are the most interesting updates you would like to talk about? We had quite a few on data flow side of things. If you can talk about some of those, that would be great.
Yeah, so we had a lot of announcements at Fabric conference a couple of weeks ago, across Data Factory and across Fabric. We actually did a blog post recap last week that actually highlights just the Data Factory ones. There's about 16 or 20 of those. So
Hmm.
definitely encourage all of you to read that blog post. And we have them here on the screen as well. You're going to see a bunch of announcements across GA, public preview, but also sneak previews. And I think you've also, as part of this series, you're talking to my colleagues, Mark Cromer and Wee Hyun Tak, about some of
Yes.
the other data factory updates across both data pipelines, but also mirroring and copy jobs. So I'm just going to focus on the data flow transformation enhancements. So if I were to pick there, the first one on the GA row up in the slide is incremental refresh. Incremental refresh allows you to incrementally load data results from your data source into your destination as part of your data flow logic. That saves you both time consuming processing an entire data set over and over again,
Yeah.
as opposed to just working against the last partition, but also to save you money transitively. You're going to consume fewer CUs in Fabric and just going to reduce the
Because you are
cost.
consuming less data, like processing less data each time. Yes, that's right.
Exactly. So this was at some point the number one requested feature across all of Fabric. And
Yeah,
back at FabCon Europe, we actually put it out in public preview. We're super excited that this time around at FabCon US, we've been able to reach general availability for this feature. There are more enhancements coming to incremental refresh beyond GA. As I like to tell the team, GA is not the end of the road, it's just the beginning. And in a
yes,
world where we release updates on a weekly basis, right, to our services, we continue updating and monitoring all features, including GA features, very closely for feedback and enhancements. So something else that is coming here over the next few months is native support for Lakehouse as a destination when you leverage incremental refresh. So as of now, you can use incremental refresh in combination with warehouse and SQL and databases, but not with Lakehouse just yet. But that is also coming soon.
so lake house is also
Now,
coming,
beyond
which is
that,
great.
yeah, yes. Beyond that, the other major GA announcement that we had was Copilot for Data Factory is now GA. And I mentioned this in the earlier question on the advantages and
Correct.
benefits of leveraging data flows and Power Query inside of Fabric Data Factory, which is that rich Copilot experience that allows you to create new steps, create new queries, and also explain existing things. But of course, we want to do many more things here. So we're working towards making Copilot the full assistant that helps you all the way in creating a data flow from bringing data in, performing transformations, but also addressing issues. So when you hit an error, having a user-friendly explanation of the error, the potential root causes, and really having Copilot be that true assistant that helps you bring your data flow into the right shape.
That sounds good. And especially that now we have Copilot even in low F SKUs such as F2, things like that. That is really helpful because everyone would be able to use it in Data Factory now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Now
amazing.
everyone in Fabric can use it. It's no longer 60 folks.
Yes. Yeah, that is amazing. That's great. So talking about data flows, one of the big requirements for people was that, like in data flow, we have the parameterization. Also in pipeline, we have some kinds of parameterization, how the interaction between these two work. And I'm sure this is one of the updates you want to talk about. Let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, thank you for the intro for it. So I talked about incremental refresh being the top requested feature at some point in the past. Now that we've knocked it down, the next big request, there are actually two. One is data flows to support CI/CD capabilities, so Git integration,
Yes.
ALM integration with workspace deployment pipelines. So that is currently in public preview, and we'll actually get to GA very very soon. So encourage all of you to check that out. And it's not only about the basic CI/CD and ALM capabilities. It's also about all the other usability enhancements that come along with it. So, for example, more complete save model, save and save as experiences.
Mm.
Also, support for multitasking, which I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it basically allows you to work on multiple data flows in different tabs within Fabric. So, without having to
Oh,
open
that is
different
great.
browser windows and so on. So, streamlines the experience. But the other big area of feedback and request, it's as you said, everything having to do with parameterization. Now, for data flows, if you've been working with Power Query for multiple years, you probably already know query parameters. Query parameters is a concept and a feature that we've had inside of Power Query, even in Excel and Power BI for the last decade plus. What we're doing now is actually make those query parameters, which you can define as the author of your data flow, make those publicly accessible. And this is something that the data flow creator will opt into. They'll have an option to say, make my data flow parameters available externally. And what that will allow you to do is, let's say that I create a data flow and include some parameters. So perhaps I'm doing customer sentiment analysis, and somewhere I inject a filter for the country is the US. And I actually make that the parameters. So now I can specify a different country value to kind of parameterize my entire data flow and transformation logic, perhaps to do sentiment analysis and aggregations and so on. Now, let's say that I create the data flow and I check that box, that new box that is coming that says enable external parameterization. And now Reza is going to try and orchestrate the execution of this data flow from a data pipeline, or perhaps even the public using the public APIs in Fabric. He's going to be able to actually, when trying to execute the data flow say from a data pipeline, actually provide the country parameter value that he wants to use. So he could be able to say country equals New Zealand, and even more advanced scenarios, not just single parameter, but if you think about all the other features that exist within data pipelines for orchestration. So let's say, for example, for each loops, he's going to be able to parameterize this within a for each loop, and then for every or for each call into the data flow, be able to pass a different parameter value.
That is
So
really helpful
what, yeah,
because yeah,
one of our dreams, and if you ask Mark or we here on your series, would be one of the biggest dreams is to have fully metadata driven data integration pipelines. So this actually provides that in the context of data flows.
yeah, this is really helpful because I even hear customers who are like at the moment to kind of cover for that, they create like multiple data flows with different settings, whereas they could have one data flow. They could have used one data flow with the parameterization of their data sources, and that parameters passes through a for each loop inside Data Factory pipeline. Really useful combination, pretty much similar to the way that we used to do things in SSIS for each loop task passing. So that kind of environment, now we have it in cloud in Microsoft Fabric, which is fantastic. I'm pretty sure that this would be well received. So this is available now or is coming in the future?
This is available now as of April 21st, is in public preview, and will continue growing over the next few weeks and months.
That sounds great. That's amazing. Um, Talking about these data flow features, so one of the things that we have in the list that I think is coming in the future is the ability to have more output destinations, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as I was saying earlier, we want to have hundreds of data sources. We already have that. We want to have hundreds of output destinations. And currently, our set of data destinations within Data Flows is very Fabric centered. So warehouse, lakehouse, event house, SQL database in Fabric. And also we support some of the Azure services. So in particular, Azure SQL database and Azure SQL data warehouse. But we want to grow beyond that. And perhaps the one you see in the screen is not a good example because it's also a Microsoft destination. But we also want to make this about non-Microsoft destinations, relational, file system based. But one that we're very excited about and that we actually sneak peeked at FabCon and that should be available in public preview over the next few weeks or months is being able to output files to SharePoint folders, so that I can actually create a data flow that outputs each of my query results as a different CSV file in a SharePoint folder. And we're starting with CSV files because that's the easy way, or the easy file format. Eventually, we want to make this also about Excel workbooks and including conditional formattings and including partitioning. So imagine, for example, you have a customer's query and you would like to output that to a SharePoint folder. And right now, you just do it as a flat CSV file, but eventually, you could do that as an Excel workbook. Even more so to say, actually create a different worksheet on each of these workbooks for each of the values in the country column. So following with the earlier example, you'll have a tab for customers in the US, customers in New Zealand, customers in each of the countries that the country column contains. But additionally, we want to invest in conditional formatting so that, say, for example, you have customers with sales revenue or forecasted sales for the next fiscal year, and being able to conditionally format that based on gradients and values as they grow and pass certain thresholds. So
Great.
very rich capabilities that we're going to provide. Ultimately, the scenario we hear here is we hear from customers is twofold. One is to use this as a way to archive data into SharePoint. The other one is to actually output data into SharePoint that others can consume directly, and putting it in a very user-rich format for exploration, for navigation, and that is what this type of features will allow us to do.
That sounds great. That is amazing. I want to add something about this here. Actually, when features like this comes, we have some people coming from IT background that they would say, no, we shouldn't have this feature. It should be always output should be into a data warehouse, things like that. Whereas in real world, in business, we really need features like this. Best practices and all of those kind of things, at the end, we are serving this data for a business requirement. And I am pretty sure that a lot of people in the world would be quite happy with a feature like this, which is one of those features that probably is not, let's say, in major updates that you would announce, but I'm sure there would be a lot of use cases for it. So this is coming in the future, right? Hopefully in the next few
Yeah,
months,
coming
year.
coming very soon. Should be coming sometime around May, mid May, late May, into public preview.
That sounds great. That's amazing. One other thing. Now, this might not be the way that uh, users want it to be, but I want to just throw it here to see what is your view from product management view of this, how this is going to work. So data flows at the moment, if multiple developers want to work with it, the way to handle it is pretty much like changing the ownership, right? Is this going to stay like this, you think, or in the future, I don't know, unknown future, we might really have the ability that multiple developers might really work on the same data flow? Like, what is your vision on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to open that up and make it such that there will be a user who creates a data flow that is the owner of the data flow.
Mhm.
But then every other workspace contributor and user who's able to modify, items in the workspace, they should be able to go and modify this single data flow item or data flow artifact as well. There are some roadblocks for us, mostly on the security and infrastructure side of
Mm.
it, especially dealing with data source connections and all the complexities that that brings into the table. But we're taking the steps towards making this more flexible. And I cannot promise timelines at the moment, but we are aiming to make some significant improvements here later this year.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you. Is there any updates that we miss or any roadmaps you want to share that we missed to talk about?
Wow, there's a lot. We could be talking for hours. There's a lot of upcoming innovation on Data Factory in general, but data flows in particular. If there's one thing I'd like to single out is, as I was saying, that infusing of AI and AI powered capabilities through the entire life cycle of creating a data flow, getting some data in, transforming that data, operationalizing, scheduling refresh of your data flow, dealing with errors that happen later, having that
Mm.
ability to diagnose issues, to fix issues, to make your data flows more efficient, performance wise, cost wise. So there's a lot of things that are upcoming, and of course, going all the way back to the beginning, what we talked about: CI/CD, public APIs capabilities, integration with uh, workspace variables or variable libraries in Fabric. Those are all things that are top of mind for us that we are planning to make a huge dent over the next few months. So I would just encourage all of you to check for two things. One is our public roadmap, aka.ms/fabric roadmap. And going in there, you're going to find one page for each of the major workloads in Fabric. We have one for Data Factory. You're going to see a lot of updates that are planned for the second half of this calendar year. We update this every 6 months or so. So we're probably towards the end of the 6 month cycle. You're going to see us publishing an updated roadmap in the May June timeframe. So check that out in a few weeks as well. The second thing I encourage all of you to check is the Fabric blog, where we publish monthly blog post recaps, and those are 40, 50 pages long across all workloads. Because we do ship a lot of new features across all the workloads. But in there, you're going to see somewhere between 10 to 15 Data Factory updates every single month. So definitely encourage you all to check both those things.
That sounds great. Amazing. I'll put the links down in the description so that people can use it. The other link I want to talk about as well is the community.fabric.com. We used to have community.powerbi.com. I'll encourage everyone to go and check there. There you can actually put your ideas whenever you have a question or whenever you have an idea that you think, for example, in Dataflow, we need such a feature like that, and also evangelize it so that others go and vote for it if they also have that requirement. And the Fabric team is actually watching that space. Is that right, Miguel?
Absolutely. We watch Ideas Forum and Community Forum on a daily basis. And we use
Right.
that to drive the next wave of enhancements. Like, yeah, definitely you can go in today and see things that we were talking about: incremental refresh, CI CD capabilities, workspace variable support, output destination to SharePoint, experiences to browse SharePoint data and easily connect to files and lists and folders in SharePoint, right? So all of those things are top of mind because you make them top of mind by upvoting for them and sharing your feedback and your needs and suggestions for new features. So keep doing that, please, because it's something we take very seriously and look at on a very regular basis.
Awesome. Thank you, Miguel. We'll also put Miguel's LinkedIn URL down in the description below. So if you want to connect with Miguel on LinkedIn, and make sure that check out that community.fabric.com. Any last words, Miguel?
Just I would say use it, use Fabric, use Data Factory, and it's not a done product, right? So it's always going to be a evolving thing, but we're moving really fast. So do leverage it, do share your feedback, and let us know if anything is not working, because our main job is to unblock you and make you successful with Fabric and Data Factory in particular. So we'll keep a very close eye to all your incoming feedback and ideas to continue improving the product.
Sounds great. Thank you, Miguel, for your time. And thank you, everyone, for watching this. Until the next interview, bye.
Great. Thank you, Reza. Thanks, everyone, for joining. A pleasure.